Gaming news. Hey everybody, so today I wanted to talk about the rumored KOTOR remake, also known as Knights of the Old Republic, that is speculated to be in pre-development, and I wanted to talk about the possibilities and my hopes, my worries, my excitement, and let's just get into this. So during the era of Star Wars fandom that was the prequels, the video game verse of Star Wars was thriving in many releases that were loved by fans like Republic Commando, Jedi Outcast, Jedi Academy, Starfighter, the original Battlefront games, and so on. But one of those stood out in front of all of them, and that was Knights of the Old Republic. This game took the fandom by storm and has since, almost 16 years later, still being played and has been released on many different platforms like iOS, iPhone, PC, and Xbox backwards compatible. So the thing that made Knights of the Old Republic special, or KOTOR as it's referred to as, was the darker side of Star Wars that we don't always get to see these days, and player choice that impacted the characters around you in a meaningful way. The medieval-like setting was something that we hadn't seen in any other media in Star Wars, like shows or feature films. We saw things like vibro blades and heavy armor, underground gangs, and a more authentic version of the cantinas that were used to seeing in things like Episode 4, A New Hope, and eventually in more recent shows like The Mandalorian. So the setting was definitely a nice contrast to, at the time, which was the prequels, which was a very shiny, new, and flashy look. This took the tone of the original trilogy and married it with the prequels in a fresh perspective. Personally, my introduction to Star Wars was very quick and in passing. I had seen the movies, or at least parts of them as a kid, and didn't think anything of them, and it wasn't until I saw Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic in my local game store, asked my mother to buy it, played it, and thought to myself, oh, so this is what Star Wars is, and that is what sparked my love of it from there on out. So these new rumors about the KOTOR remake being done by EA is both exciting and worrying, considering the reputation Electronic Arts has had with video games in the past and their monetization of literally everything that they get their hands on, save for the most recent Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which was strictly a single-player game with no multiplayer or microtransactions. Jedi Fallen Order turned out to be a huge success and has now officially been greenlit for a sequel, which is very exciting. The game was a big refresher and shows that single-player games have a long tail when it comes to the sales and replayability versus multiplayer that is treated as a live service and not as an experience. So trust me when I say that I understand the video game companies, they need to make money, but the lifeline of said company has to be organic and not something that is stabbing the player in the back every time they turn on the game and update it just to see something else that they might need to pay for or locked behind a paywall rather than grinding for it. So having said that, the Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake that is rumored has to be treated delicately once again, and as a Star Wars fan I understand this, like all the hate Disney Star Wars is getting, and not being a huge fan of all of it myself, I can still find things to appreciate in it. But movies versus video games are two totally different animals. Video games are something that you inject yourself into rather than sitting down and watching other characters make their own decisions. In Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, it was something that we hadn't been too familiar with yet. All of these decisions were meant for you to decide and meant for you to inject your opinion. So if EA decides to go down the route of rebooting the Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, and its story and its characters with all of its depth, is very troubling because it would be like taking a Hershey chocolate bar, keeping the color brown, but changing the flavor to strawberry and telling you that you should love it the same way. It's simply not what you want from the chocolate bar. It may look similar, but it does not have the same taste at all. So while it is exciting that there could be a remake of this game, I am still very worried that EA could put their hands too far into the cookie jar. They absolutely have to nail the aesthetic along with the characters that we care about, like Bastila and Cartho Nassi, along with the villains that we've come to love like Darth Malak and the story of Revan and their relationship. Among the things that will be welcome if they decide to change some things would probably be the way combat flows. Something akin to Dragon Age that they messed up in my opinion in later games is the combat. Some enjoyed the turn-based combat that was present, and others preferred a more hands-on, straightforward, action-y combat like in Jedi Fallen Order. So that is something else that would be nice to see a change of, since the combat now is pretty dated. After all, the thing that made KOTOR special was not the actual combat, but the universe you immerse yourself into with planets like Manan and the underground city sensibilities of slum and scum and villainy like Terrace. So with a budget that EA has, I know that it's probably going to look pretty, but it might not have the heart and soul that the original one did. So I might make another video that gets into more of the details of the rumor, but this is one I just wanted to talk about some things that made KOTOR special versus the idea of a remake. So if you guys have any thoughts about this, leave it down in the comments below and let me know what you think about the KOTOR remake. Check me out on Twitter as I post all my videos there when they go live, and be sure to drop a like. Thank you so much, guys. This is Thunderwolf. Peace out.